Right guys, this is a long playing review for Ghosts and Goblins on the Amstrad GX4000. Yes, you heard me right, the GX4000 console. And this is a homebrew remake of the game by Xifos in 2018. And it's about time I did a proper long play and review of it. And the box art you see here guys is something I actually made myself for them. So there you go. Now, the original conversion from Elite Software in 1986 was decent enough, but it was severely lacking in several departments, namely missing levels, missing enemies, Arthur doesn't run around in his underpants when he gets hit, etc. However, as you can hear on this footage now, it did have some truly awesome music, which is probably my favourite Amstrad chiptune ever. But it was nowhere close to the arcade original, which we will take a quick look at here now, which I've got running in a MAME. So this was released by Capcom on the 19th of September 1985 and blew everyone away. Created by Takeru Fujiwara, this is a run and gun platformer with a horror theme, and that's a very nice combination. And I just love this game to bits. And oh yes, little secrets in the game. Hit the gravestone 15 times, I believe it is, and a wizard will appear and turn you into a frog. So there are little secrets around this game. We'll see if they make it to the GX4000 remake shortly. But apparently this is Capcom's 8th best-selling franchise with over 4.4 million units sold across all the various sequels and spin-offs. Now Arthur the Knight is off to rescue Princess Prin Prin, who's sometimes named as Guinevere in some advertising material, from the Demon Lord and King Astaroth. And the game is notorious for its extreme difficulty and, of course, Arthur running around in his underpants, as we mentioned earlier. I think we'll see that very shortly here, as I struggle to defeat, I think he's called a Gargoyle? I'm not quite sure. There you go, Arthur's in his underpants there. And there was some armour to collect there from a power-up, but there we go. That was the arcade version, and we're going to move on straight into the Amstrad GX4000 remake, and we'll see how closely it compares. So here we are on the title screen, and it doesn't use the same track sequence, pretty simple and basic, but I'm going to keep quiet here and let you listen to the intro sequence of the game. There we go. Well, it's got the intro there for the game start. That's really, really good. And as you can see, guys, wow, this looks and plays really, really nicely. And it has some fantastic music. And this is the Ghosts and Goblins that the Amstrad deserve, for sure, already. And this level looks gorgeous. And there he is! Arthur's running around in his underpants when he gets hit, unlike the original Elite Systems conversion. And here we are facing off against the Red Gargoyle, as I call him. Because I know there's a spin-off game called Gargoyle's Quest, which starred this character. But I think he's actually called the Red Armour in this game. But yeah, I might refer to him as the Gargoyle later on in the review. We'll see. We've got the Flying Knight section here, and everything is as expected, really. If you're coming from the arcade version, there you go, plenty of pickups. That just gives me the same weapon I've already got. Oh, and we get the dagger. That's essential. That, I think, to me, that is the best weapon to have. Some people prefer the flame or the axe. And I think they're mad. I think you want the dagger for the fast throw-in. Just taking my time here, being very careful and cautious. Obviously be wary about time running out. Oh god, and the dreaded sausage monks. They're not called sausage monks. I think their real name, from what I found online, is they're called woody pigs, believe it or not. But someone on my live streams, Anna, I think her name, yes, I think it was Anna, named them the Sausage Monks. And I absolutely hate them. They're my least favourite and most hated enemy in the game. And here we are at the first boss already. Quite quickly dispatched if you've got the dagger. And the level 1 bosses and level 2 bosses, because we'll meet 2 of them at the end of this level, are called Ikkaku, or Unicorn, apparently, according to various places on the internet. There we go. Good, decent vertical scroll there, as well as the horizontal scroll. Really nice sprite movement. And the controls are really fantastic, actually. I have to be honest, guys, the one thing this version does have over the arcade original is I think the controls are a lot better. They're a lot more responsive. Now, this isn't a project where they've set out to make this arcade perfect. They've tried to do it as close to the arcade original as possible, but they've not been overly anal in getting all the details exactly right. They've just kind of played to the machine's strengths of the Amstrad GX4000 and Plus machines, of course. And there are notable differences. For example, you didn't see me trying to replicate hitting the gravestone 15 times at the start of this game. Let's go back here, see if there was any more armour spawns, but sadly not. You didn't see me hitting that gravestone at the start of this playthrough because that secret where the magician appears and turns you into a frog, that's missing in this version. And to be honest, it's not needed. If you know, space in memory and stuff like that is an issue, there are some things to be sacrificed, and that was probably one of them. There are like little secrets in the arcade original, like certain places where you will jump and it will reveal a fresh suit of armour, for example. That doesn't really happen in this version, but in the key parts they do just like appear randomly, and you don't need to not randomly, they just appear, sorry, and you don't need to do any kind of jumping around or trigger to get them to appear. But other than that, this is a very, very accurate port of the arcade version, with some differences. So yeah, I mean, basically it's like a few years ago Xifos, along with musician Julian Nevo, aka Tarhan, set out to give the Amstrad a much better version of the official conversion that we got. But yeah, so they've not aimed to get this arcade perfect, but as close as possible. And we'll talk more about the differences as we go along. But I should also just warn that there are 2 versions of this port out there. The earlier version had a few bugs and has no ending. But after feedback, a new version was released of the final game with the ending and as many of the bugs fixed as possible. And to be honest, I've not really encountered any bugs whilst practicing and recording this long play. So, really, really good job. I've got 2 of them. Thankfully, when you kill one, they spawn a suit of armour. You can see there's kind of a pattern with them. I like how you're temporarily invincible as well after losing the suit of armour. I lost those bosses, and that boss and the red armour, the Gargoyle or whatever, do lots of jumps and shots whilst jumping to dispatch them, and you work out a pattern. Oof! Get a bat spawn immediately upon us. Now this is where there's quite a few differences. In the arcade version, that cave ceiling is full of bats, and they behave slightly differently to the bats here. In this version, there's only 2 bats at the start, and one of them's right on top of you already, which is pretty evil. So I'm not sure why they did that. I didn't follow the arcade version because it wouldn't have. Perhaps there can only be. Perhaps there's a limit of how many sprites you can have on screen at the same time. In the arcade version, there's about 5 or 6 bats on the ceiling as you start the level. So maybe it's a sprite limitation thing. So some concessions have been made here. And yeah, guys, just to warn you, just like the arcade original, that you have to beat the game twice in a row to see the good ending. So that's what we'll have to do here. God, I hate the sausage monks. Thank you to Anna for naming them that. but I absolutely detest these enemies, especially in this section here. I really hate, and it's the same in the arcade version really, how they can just spawn right on top of you and be very, very quick throwing their spears or tridents, whatever they are. Now that suit of armour there is, in the arcade version, I believe you have to go up there and then jump in that spot for it to be revealed, or jump near it. Whereas in the GX4000 version, it is just sat there waiting for you. Whereas in the arcade, it's kind of like a risk and reward. This is actually the longer route to go. But do you choose to go that longer route? And if so, you get rewarded by a special drop there. But that suit of armour was very, very clear and visible to see. So, hey, we'll take the upper route rather than the lower route. I do hate these red arrows as well. But on this version, you can actually just run away from them, and they generally won't chase you if you get far enough away. A lot of space here to avoid the sausage monks, and here's the 3rd level boss, and we get the dragon, the first appearance of the dragon. Not too hard here really, just watch out, he will always fire like 2 fireballs at you, and it will fire it in the last position you were, so that's why I jump around a lot. So hopefully it will fire his fireball when I've currently jumping, so it goes up in the air and I've landed, so it's easily avoidable, and he will only fire at you when he's facing at you or you're very, very near his head, like i.e. jumping over it, so be very careful getting too close to the dragon and being in front of it. Be ready to jump those fireballs. Now this level is probably easier than the previous level. You've just got to be very careful timing your jumps here, at least in the first half of the level. And in the second half of the level, we've got a river of lava. We're like sort of crossing over on a bridge, and again, it's just patience and being very careful. Probably one of the easier levels post level 2. There we go. So we should have a red armour here. So I've jumped down. I'm already firing. So jump and attack like that. There we go. And if he's really high in the sky, just be patient and don't fire or don't throw your dagger or anything like that. Wait for him to come down to the floor to the same level as you are, but then jump and attack. Because as soon as you fire your dagger, or throw your dagger, sorry, he will immediately like ascend into the air and avoid it. Very, very tricky things. So look, he's really high in the air here. So waiting for him to descend, and I've done a jump attack there. Yes, it's all about the jump attacks there, and just waiting for him to get in the right position to do that. There we go. I think actually some music tracks are missing in this version compared to the arcade. Again, I assume like sort of space was the limitation here, because this is designed for the GX4000 console, which has 64K of memory. There's probably a lot of space on the actual cartridge itself. But maybe not enough space in memory to hold it along with all the other music tracks. But remember guys, this will also work on the Amstrad 464 Plus and of course the Amstrad 6128 Plus as well. We've already touched on that there's some placement of enemies are different. And you'll notice here actually Arthur doesn't run into the door at the end of the level. He just picks up the key and puts his arms in the air. But we do get the scrolling map there, that's nice, showing our position. But yes, in the arcade, oh look, you can do like a double attack there. I was meant to talk about that earlier. If you fire and jump and hit fire very quickly afterwards, you can actually glitch and throw 2 daggers at the same time, or 2 spears or whatever. It's a difficult technique to pull off, and not exceptionally useful when most enemies die in one hit. But may be useful against some bosses. So there you go, if you can get that technique done, there it is. You get 2 thrown there at once. Now normally the game limits you to 1 per attack. So now you can just avoid that red armour there, just like walk around him very carefully. But very nice music again here. Now those guys, I think from reading up, those guys are called the Big Man. Capcom not very good on naming their enemies and creatures and stuff. There's another Big Man. Again, you just want to get a good distance from them, be able to duck, and then just spam him with your weapon. I don't know why I jumped there. I think I made a mistake and it worked out okay. That could have been a big rip there, RIP. Never mind. The other thing to note is this does play at a slower pace than the arcade original. Yeah, the arcade version does play a lot faster. But I mean, there's no like slowdown on the Amstrad version. Plays at a very, very nice consistent frame rate. It's looking like it's very close to 50 frames per second. But I don't know how you measure that exactly. God, I hate the sausage monks here. Their spawns are really awkward. I hate it, I hate it. I wish that was tweaked and changed for the GX4000 version. There's a double attack I'm just telling you about a minute ago. But then again, they did the same thing pretty much in the arcade version and behaved fairly similarly. The arcade version played at a much quicker pace. I actually prefer the pace of the GX4000 version better. It's still actually quite a fast pace. But at times I felt the arcade version just overwhelmed you with stuff, and given that the speed and pace of it, it made it extra difficult. I mean, yeah, the arcade version was notorious for its difficulty level, and just to add insult to injury, it made you beat the game twice in a row. There we go. That boss there, I believe, is called Satan. Just quite simply Satan. So it's not even Satan isn't even the final boss. There's someone even bigger and worse than Satan awaits us. Ah, right. Okay. Two Akuyous here. Now you can just like take the damage, avoid them, go up the ladder and collect the armour there. It's probably the safest thing to do. You can also, as I discovered there, if you get hit, it actually knocks you upwards a little bit. And I think we'll see it in the second playthrough. I actually used that to like basically knock me up to the higher level and escape them. But you can just take the hit, be temporarily invulnerable, get up the ladder, get the armour and get the hell out of here. There, sorry. Now, this bit here, we've got another dragon. Again, one of the earlier bosses appears. It's essential that you fight this guy and don't avoid him by going up the ladders to the left, because killing him will drop a very special weapon, which is the shield. And you need to use the shield to defeat the final boss, Astaroth. Otherwise it's impossible. There it is, there's the shield weapon. Now I'm just going to give it a little bit of a test out here. And as you can see, it's actually got quite a short range. And it's a lot slower than the dagger. So we're going to have to get used to that. So be careful using the shield weapon. But you need to keep this weapon throughout all the game now and through the next loop. Don't pick up any other weapons. And don't lose it. Otherwise you'll be in trouble. But in the arcade version, this is the penultimate level. The dragon boss we encountered here, in the arcade version, he doesn't actually drop the shield weapon at all. The shield weapon you have to find on this level. It will randomly spawn from a defeated enemy that was carrying a pot. So like one of these big men in the arcade version will be carrying a pot, and defeat him and get the pot, and it will reveal the shield weapon. I believe, from what I've seen anyway, looking at footage online. There we go. Those skulls are actually a skeleton enemy that will spawn out the skull when you get too close to it and jump out at you. So just very, very easy to dispatch. Just kill them. Just shoot the skulls when you see them from a long distance. Oof. Now we get 2 Satans here to defeat. Just do one at a time. Just keep this one to the left as much as possible. There we go. Get spawned a armour there, which we'll try to avoid picking up to give us a bit more of a chance, but we got hit by the fireball there. Again, you just got to work out the attack pattern and get your timing right. He'll always fire a fireball at the start of his attack when he's at his highest point, or when you appear on the screen. If you move off the screen, anyway, you get the attack pattern there, and oh, here we go. This should be the final boss, Astaroth. Remember, the shield weapon doesn't shoot too far. Now in the arcade version you have to hit that face in the middle of his chest. And there we go, defeated him, but this room is an illusion and is a trap device by Satan. Go ahead dauntlessly, make rapid progress. So it's even got the really bad English translation there, they've kept it in. And basically this is telling you that, aha, ha ha ha, fooled you. You've gone to the wrong castle or something, even though it's on this map here. And basically now we have to go through the whole game again. And once we do that, we have won the game and we will get the ending that we want to see. Now this second loop through doesn't really seem to increase in difficulty. In the oh, that was lucky, the zombie turned away at last second there. Oh no, we don't want that weapon, so we need to move off the screen and come back again, and it's disappeared. There we go. That doesn't happen in the arcade version. I think it will remain there and you have a very awkward jump over it then. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, this loop through now doesn't seem to really increase in difficulty at all. But I'm pretty sure that the arcade version does. So to make matters even worse on the arcade version, after getting through the nightmare of all those levels and then having to do them again, it's even harder. But thankfully, the difficulty here doesn't increase. There we go. I had a bit of difficulty dealing with him there. Never mind. But yeah, I just want to clarify something I was trying to explain earlier when we were fighting the final boss there, Astaroth. That you were, in the arcade original, you're meant to hit that creature in his chest, I think roughly in the eyes. And it's a very, very difficult jump shot to do. And I think on this version, it appears it doesn't make a difference where you hit him. So I was just jumping and spamming the attack there, and that worked, and that's what I will do again, basically. It's made easier that the fact that if you do get hit, you're temporarily invulnerable and you can just get lots of shots off. But yeah, so that's potentially a difference between the GX4000 and arcade version. Oops. Goddamn sausage monks. Have we got any interesting tidbits? Well, not really. I mean, the name of your character here is supposed to be Sir Arthur, but he's actually called Sir Michael on some different advertising around the time of the release. I think potentially it was marketed as Sir Michael in America, but everywhere else and from conversions onwards, he's had his proper name of Sir Arthur. We're rescuing Princess Prin. Sometimes she's known as Guinevere, but well, I think to most people it's Princess Prin. Oh, the original, actually, Japanese name of this game is called Mcgilvray. I'm probably pronouncing that completely wrong, and that literally translates to Demon World Village. So we're playing Demon World Village here, guys. And the Western name is Ghosts and Goblins. Oh, those little gits there, they're called the Blue Killers. Now, they only seem to appear at this section on level 2. In the arcade version, they do appear in other levels. I think they actually appear in the next level, the caves level. There are a few differences and inaccuracies in the conversion. I'm not sure why they didn't appear in level 3. I'm sure there wasn't a memory issue there, but there we go. I think, to be honest, guys, my feeling is on this conversion that the programmer Xifos, I presume that's how you pronounce his name, got to a certain point where it was like, I'm happy with my product, I'm not going to add anything more or spend any more hours and days agonising over details and getting the arcade perfect. Like I said earlier, I don't think it was his intention to make an arcade perfect port, but just a very, very good port for the Amstrad, and the Amstrad deserves it. Certainly this is a huge game from the 80s, a very well known arcade game. And whilst I actually like the original version of Ghosts and Goblins from Elite on the Amstrad, you know, it was severely lacking. I think the awesome music makes up for a lot in that game. But I did like the graphical style of that game, even if it didn't really look anything like the arcade version. But hey, anyway, you can find on my channel a full long play and review video of that game anyway, the original Elite conversion, so I'll suggest you go and have a watch of that. So I'm not going to discuss all the usual details like I normally do in this video, like the Amstrad Action review scores and the programmers behind that game. That's all in the other video anyway. We're just here focusing on this version and the gameplay we're seeing. Oh yeah, actually these guys are missing a charge attack along the floor. In the arcade version they can actually just like run at you and charge. In the GX4000 version they just sort of jump around really. Okay, right, level 3 in the caves again. Watch out for the little towers here that spit fireballs at you. I think it's actually eyeballs, not fireballs, they're spitting at you. How gross. Demon eyeballs. I think that's what they are anyway. The bats can be a little bit awkward with their movement. Oh dear, that was stupid. Oh, that was very lucky getting the armour spawn there. But generally the bats just sort of get close enough up to them and trigger their movement and then move away, and you've got plenty of room to get your attack in. There we go. Just be patient with those guys. If you've got the room to do it, obviously if you've got sausage monks all over you, then you might not have the time to be patient, but generally in most situations when you encounter a red armour or gargoyle, oh god, I hate these guys, you have enough breathing room and time, I think the game stops spawning enemies at you, like the sausage monks or blue devils or whatever. So yeah, you have time to dispatch them, unlike in the arcade version where it's even more difficult. Love the creepy music here though, that's good. Now there is another red arrow below there as well, so if you did take the lower route you'd still encounter one of those red gargoyles. And I think it's at this point here in the level that the little blue killer bat things that we saw briefly on level 2 get spawned. But that doesn't happen here, sadly. Unlike the arcade version. But this is a great version of Ghosts and Goblins, guys. I don't think... Is it fair for me to say that you won't find a better version of Ghosts and Goblins on any other 8-bit system? Blimey. Well, actually, at the time of doing this video, there is another version of Ghosts and Goblins for the Amstrad being worked on. That was announced around about the same time as this one was announced, and that is designed purely for the Amstrad 6128 Plus machines, using the full 128K of memory that has. And apparently that's very, very far in development at the time of doing this video around about Halloween 2019. So I have no idea when that will be released and if that will be any better than this one. Who knows? Maybe they will make it more arcade perfect than this one is. But so there you go. But I still think currently at this time, name me a better 8-bit version of Ghosts and Goblins. I that might upset some users of, like, maybe NES users, Commodore 64 users. I don't know. But to me, this plays really, really excellently. In fact, I like this better than the arcade version just because it plays at a slower pace. The controls are actually much better. I always felt that the controls in the arcade original were a little bit odd. It was a little bit awkward, sort of coming out of like ducks and crouches and then jumping and moving or shooting or whatever. It seemed very stop-start, and it was a very awkward kind of control method going on. It didn't feel, well, that's not what I'm trying to get. I think it didn't feel very fluid, the controls and movement. On the GX4000 version, no such problem. It's also a lot easier. However, this is incredibly tough still, and I'm making it look a lot easier than it actually is because we're doing a long play here and we're trying to do it without dying. But this is still very, very tough and will present you a very, very tough and long challenge and much replay value. Oh, got very nearly tempted there to pick up the dagger. No, we must keep that shield weapon. And here we are on the dragon boss. Again, this isn't too hard, but it can actually easily catch you out sometimes. Just, yeah, see? Remember, if you're in front of the dragon's head, it will do the fireballs at you. So you could roughly just about guess and get the timing right of when he will shoot a fireball at you to like start moving out the way or do a jump to sort of get him to target the fireball higher up than it needs to be. And just watch out for the time limit there. But generally you have plenty of time to beat a level there. Still had 2 minutes left on the clock there, so yeah, plenty of time. And here we are again. Watch out for the sausage punks. Shoot the skulls as soon as you see them. We have the odd bat here and there. Again, not too hard to dispatch. Oof, God, I messed that up there. Again, the worst thing about this level is those bloody sausage monks. Alright, I need to stop calling them that. The woody pigs. They can just spawn right out on top of you or in front of you. Even worse when you're on like a ladder or something like that and can't really get out of the way of them. It's an absolute nightmare sometimes. So I got very, very lucky there. And again, just avoid that red armour there. So let's sum for a bit of a review from myself then. Absolutely love the graphics. I think they've got the animations very, very close. It looks and feels like the arcade version. Yeah, the background's like rather simple and plain, but that's what they're like on the arcade version. So they kept it fairly accurate in those regards. Controls and movement is brilliant. It's actually improved on the arcade version in my opinion. It doesn't play as fast as the arcade, but it plays very, very, very smoothly with a nice scroll, nice smooth sprite movement, plays at a nice pace. Slightly slower than the arcade version, and I think that's actually to its benefit as well. But purists probably won't like that. Purists won't like the fact that there's some music missing, some of the enemy placement is different, some enemy behaviour is also different. And I think we've discussed the other missing bits and bobs earlier in the video, so I don't need to really go over them. But yeah, there are some some of the secrets are missing and stuff like that too. But other than that, this is an excellent port of Ghosts and Goblins and first rate. Guys, I'm gonna have to give this a massive high score. I really have to. I'm erring between a 9 out of 10 or a 9.5 out of 10. And I honestly, guys, I mean, I know the other version of Ghosts and Goblins is around the corner, and that may well be more arcade perfect, and that may end up with a higher score at the end of it, but really, at the moment, I can't really see how we could really ask for more. So I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. I would have given this, in terms of percentage score, maybe around like a 92, 93%. So I've had to round it to like 9 because I do my scores out of 10. So there we go. Oh, I'm going to use the glitch here to get past these guys. There we go. Let's just bounce me up to the next level and off we go. We're going to avoid the dragon boss by just sticking to the left hand side here. No need to fight him now, we have the shield weapon. And just make our way up. This is a very, very tough spot here though with the red armour, because you've got the 3 big guys above that will drop their maces down on your head. You just have to keep moving and they generally won't drop. Actually they will if you walk under them. But just take your time here, because we've got 3 of them to dispatch and they need 4 hits each to go. You have a time limit, but it's not particularly tight on the Amstrad GX4000 version. So I'm going to not take the risk there and just get down the ladder or steps and come back and finish him off. We've got time. I will say actually it does feel like the weapons fire a little bit slower than the arcade version too, but then again the game does generally run at a slower pace. But yeah, I think that's all I've got to mention there. Again, look, actually 2 of them have combined together to look like one sprite, so be very careful of that. Yeah, killed both of them there. There was 2 like little mini explosions when they died, so yeah, be very careful not to assume that there's just one of those big guys. There was actually 2. We're getting very close to the end now, guys. We've got 2 Satans to dispatch here. And you can work out his pattern fairly easily. Keep jumping a lot though, apart from doing stupid things like that. Oh, I just take advantage of being temporarily invulnerable just to get a few hits in. I mucked up there. I think I was getting tired at this point. It's a long, long play to do. And a tough one. There we go. Got the final key and onto the final boss, Astaroth. Once again. And same as before. Take advantage of the being temporarily invulnerable. Blast away. And yay! Congratulations, this story is good ending, and it still has the bad English translation they've kept in. Excellent. And a lovely jingle of music there as well. And now we can hear the game over music, and we get to the high score table. So there we go, guys. There is stuff to be improved here, or added, but this is an amazing, amazing conversion. A 9 out of 10 from me. I kind of want to give it higher, but I don't think you can find a better version of Ghosts and Goblins on any 8-bit computer. Prove me wrong in the comments, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff. Alright, guys. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please click a like below, leave a comment, and also subscribe if you haven't already. And over that way, there's another video for you to check out. Xyphoe, out.